I originally thought of Wendel as perhaps a one-shot or an occasional strip that would satirize the gay singles scene, cruising in bars and things like that. And as it happened, they were fairly popular, and so they asked me to do more. But I was also realizing that the whole idea of cruising for sex with strangers was getting a little uncomfortable with the rise of the AIDS epidemic. So I decided, well, maybe I should do a mid-course correction and have Wendel find himself in love with a guy and form a relationship. And when I thought of that, I actually thought that was really a cool way to go, because it was an area that had not been covered a lot, the actual development of a gay relationship. There was lots of literature about the gay singles scene, a lot of novels and things, and I thought, well, how about let's talk about how people, take two individuals and become, a single family unit. And the fact that it doesn't always go smoothly, it's awkward, people have to deal with differences of habits, and so then it became much more interesting for me as a cartoonist, because I was not covering ground that had been covered to death. One of the things I tried to do in Stuck Rubber Baby was invite straight people inside the head of a closeted gay man and see all of the contradictions that come from that kind of dishonesty. I think the style depends on the content. When I launched into drawing Stuck Rubber Baby, I realized that it was a somewhat dark story. I needed to create a scary world with shadows, and you need to feel the physical world around you. And you can't do that with the clean lines I was using in Wendel. Just simply being in the proximity of the civil rights movement, you became aware of how dangerous it was for people to be fighting this very rock-ribbed segregationist attitude, particularly in Birmingham, which was where I was experiencing it, but throughout the South. And people did get murdered and lynched and beaten horribly and stuff like that. And that had to be part of the story. The bombing of the Melody Motel in that book is basically a recasting of the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, in which 4 little girls were killed in Sunday school. And it was such a shock to the conscience of white Southerners that I felt that in many ways, although you still had the KKK being a terrorist organization, they had gotten a lot of tacit support from white community, but that was too much. So Toland's good friend, Esmo, comes to the gas station, his place of work, to tell him about the March on Washington that's coming up. And Toland is embarrassed in front of his, macho, straight employers and colleagues. So he kind of makes a slighting remark about Esmo after he leaves and says, well, I have to be nice to him because his mother used to do housework for us or something, it made me cringe to draw it, but so many of us who, when we were in the closet, would allow ourselves to do homophobic things as a way of trying to avoid suspicions that we were gay. The gay liberation movement made a strip like Wendel possible because it was full of gay men who had made the transition from closetedness and fear into accepting themselves and be affirming about their lifestyle at the same time that they were leading regular lives. But they also were politically aware and would go to demonstrations, things like that. And that's the world that came about in the wake of all the persecution of gay people at earlier times. I made full use of all of the sexual freedom in the 70s and moving into the 80s, but I'm not a person who's all about sex. And one of the things I tried to do in my comic book work is to indicate that the people have many sides.